In the last 8 weeks, every major tech company on Earth shipped the same thing into your workplace. Microsoft, OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, not staggered, not across a year, within weeks of each other. And while everyone was watching the race, Anthropic quietly overtook OpenAI in business adoption for the first time ever. If the news cycle feels like it's accelerating, you're not imagining it. Something just shifted fundamentally under the surface. This is Regular's AI content in an Australian context. No hype, no doom, just what fucking matters. Now, before I get into what actually changed, I want to surface the questions you should be asking, because most of the coverage you're seeing right now is shoveling you answers without the questions. Why did 4 companies that normally stagger their launches all ship the same kind of tool inside 8 weeks? That's not a coincidence. That's convergence. And convergence usually means the underlying infrastructure just got finished. What's actually different about an agent compared to the AI tools your workplace already has? Because if it's just a faster chatbot, you can probably ignore this video. But if it's actually something architecturally different, you probably can't. And why is the Australian government suddenly tracking AI adoption differently from every other country on Earth? The last one, almost nobody is talking about, and it's the most important one for you. Hold those questions, because the answers are connected. For the last 3 years, the AI tools at your workplace were assistants. You type something, they type back. You were the connective tissue between the AI and any actual work getting done. An agent is different. An agent takes a goal in plain English, something like reconcile last month's invoices and flag the discrepancies, and then it goes and does it. It plans the steps, it logs into the system, it reads the data, and it writes an output. It only stops to ask you when the rules say it has to. It's not a faster chatbot, it's an autonomous digital worker. In an 8-week window, this March, April, and May, every major tech company shipped one. Microsoft put agents across the whole 365 suite and then shipped a separate product to govern those agents, which tells you the second wave of selling is already the cleanup from the first. OpenAI shipped agents that can run autonomously in Slack while you sleep. Google announced theirs at I/O just last week. But the company that is currently winning this race isn't the most famous one. Ramp tracks software spending across 50,000 American businesses. It's the closest thing to a real-time enterprise leaderboard. In April, Anthropic overtook OpenAI in business adoption. A year ago, Anthropic had 8% of that market. Now, they're sitting at the top. The reason is boring, but important. They didn't win on brand. They won because Claude is more reliable and multi-step reasoning. And when enterprises moved from let's try a chatbot to let's run an agent in production, reliability mattered more than brand. Microsoft just published its 2026 Work Trend Index, trillions of signals across their software. And there's one number worth holding on to. 58% of regular AI users say they're producing work they couldn't have produced a year ago. That's individual productivity. That's real change. But here's the honest read. The enterprise survey from Ryder this year found 97% of executives have deployed agents. Only 29% are seeing return on investment. And the costs are real. Uber gave its engineers AI coding tools last year. By April, 70% of their committed code was AI generated, which sounds great, except per engineer API cost hits somewhere between $500 and $2,000 a month per engineer. And they burned through their entire 2026 AI budget in 4 months. That's the global picture on AI agents. Now here's what almost nobody is telling Australian workers. Earlier this year, the Department of Industry, Science and Resources signed a Memorandum of Understanding with Anthropic. Most government MOUs are political theatre. This one isn't. This one includes a clause that gives the Australian federal government direct access to Anthropic's economic index. Anthropic's own internal data on how their AI is being used, by which industries, for which tasks, with what kind of prompts. Stop and think about what that means. Anthropic is the company that just overtook OpenAI in enterprise adoption. They have the cleanest view of how AI is actually changing work in real time anywhere on Earth. And the Australian government just got a key to part of that data room. The safety side of that deal mirrors arrangements Anthropic has with the US, UK, Canada, and Japan. The economic data sharing side, tracking how AI is actually being used across the workforce and which sectors it's reshaping, that part is unique only to Australia. And the data is already telling us things you won't read in the broader AI commentary. Anthropic's own announcement says Australian Claude usage is the most diverse among English-speaking nations. We use it for high-skill, multi-step work, management, sales, business operation, life sciences. We're not using it to write emails. We're using it like a system. That matters for what's coming, because the workers who get the value from agents are the workers who already think in multi-step prompts. We're starting closer to the line than most countries. You can already see what that looks like in practice. In April, the Commonwealth Bank deployed an Agentic AI system that watches their entire payments network, 20 million transactions a day, 80 million signals, looking for new fraud patterns. When it finds one, the agent writes the proposed detection rule itself. Then a human fraud analyst at CBA reads it, decides whether it's right, and either approves it into production or sends it back. That's the model. The agent does the volume, the Australian worker does the judgment. CBA says their fraud losses are down more than 20% in the first half of this financial year compared to the same time last year. The federal budget in May locked the bigger picture in, a separate MOU with Microsoft, a $25 billion investment commitment, funding for the new Australian AI Safety Institute. The National AI Advisory Hub launched ai.gov.au. The federal government is making a bet, and the bet is that AI capability is the productivity lever for the next decade. I did a deep dive in this in my last video. You can watch it by clicking through on the link on the screen right now. But here's where the optimism has to be earned, not handed to you. The Human Over Workforce report this year mapped Australian AI capability properly, not just by how often people use the tools, but by how deeply. 70% of Australian office workers use AI at least weekly, which sounds great, but only 1 in 8 knowledge workers can actually drive complex multi-step work through an AI system. The rest are using it to summarize meeting notes, tidy up emails. That entire layer of work is what the agents are about to absorb first. But here's the part that should change how you read all of this. The CSIRO ran a longitudinal study on 4,000 Australian firms. The firms actively adopting AI are not shedding workers. Adjusted for size and industry, they're advertising 36% more non-AI roles than the firms that aren't adopting. The threat to your job is not the agent. The threat to your job is being stuck inside a firm that doesn't adopt one, or being inside a firm that does and not being the person who knows how to direct it. The person inside CBA approving those fraud rules, that's the role, not coding the AI, not being replaced by it, sitting in the seat where the agent's output needs human judgment before it can ship. 3 things to do this week. 1, find out what AI agent tools your workplace already has access to. Most of you already have Copilot or something like it sitting inside your Microsoft license, and nobody's probably told you. Open the app, have a look. 2, pick one repeatable multi-step thing you do every week. Reconciling a report, drafting a recurring update, sorting through a folder of files, and try to delegate the whole chain to whatever agent tool you have access to. Even if it fails, the point is to learn what failure looks like, because that's the skill nobody else in the office is building yet. 3, watch how your workplace handles the rollout over the next 3 months. Training, governance, capability building, or just buying licenses and hoping. That's your leading indicator of whether you are somewhere worth staying. The Australian story isn't separate from the global story. It is the global story. We just have two advantages most countries don't: a government with direct visibility into how this is actually playing out, and a workforce that's already using these tools in a more sophisticated way than the international average. The window where you can position yourself ahead of this is open, probably for a few months, but definitely not for years. Your job as an Australian worker isn't to outrun the agents, it's to learn to direct them before someone else at your workplace does. If this helped you make sense of the last 8 weeks, hit like and subscribe, leave a comment, and tell me, how are you going with AI agents at the moment? Have you started experimenting, or are you still holding off and need a hand to take the first step? Have a good one, and I'll see you next Friday.